Hello everyone, welcome to Nuclei's podcast. I'm Ankur Joshi, I'm the CEO of Nuclei. We build products to help banks in their digital transformation journeys. And to our podcast today, it is my pleasure to host Mr. Ramana Kumar, who is the CEO of Magnati. Magnati is a fully owned subsidiary of First Abu Dhabi Bank. Ramana has been a leading banker in the Middle East and Africa region for a long, long time, and it's a real pleasure to have you on our podcast, Ramana. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
So, Ramana, let me start this podcast with let's move back a few years and go back to your origin and where you grew up, your time at Durgapur. What were the key highlights, or what were some of the key learnings from that era which you still carry with you?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of years, man. It's not any recent. So yeah, I think one thing which is cornerstone for all of our upbringing was the whole growing middle class and being a son of a teacher, always having that discipline. And while many of us went through a different stages of our competitive life while we were students. I mean, the time I was giving entrance to engineering, when the time of IITs and regional engineering colleges and so on, there were hardly few seats, and the competition was so high. So for us, the fight was about survival, and we even had concept of negative markings. So the boards and education boards haven't made it easier for us to survive, or even did not give us chance to fail. There's always a stick when you fail. So coming from that perspective, there is one thing which was always ingrained in me and many people during my time, is about survival, and is about keeping yourself or proving yourself that you're different to others. So if you are in a populous place like India, where you're studying and you're fighting with millions of students for that few seats in IIT, in REC, in IIM, you have to be different. If you're not different, if you're not different from others, the people may think that you're getting into the so-called herd position. So you're one among the herd and you're not getting different. I think that is one thing which, as a principle, I've always kept it as part of my journey and my life, and that is the key principle of my life. That you should always be different. You should always be doing something different that creates a value to you. And when people think about you, there are a few things they always see in you, rather than a boring 8 to 5 job and just finishing what you want to do or you assigned to do. It's always about thinking what next and what is going to be that different thing that you have to embark your journey on.
Awesome. That's really very insightful, and to pick up from there, there's a very famous saying in one of the podcasts that you should always be very, very interesting personality, right? Like you should never uh, uh, don't be a boring person. So don't
Absolutely.
anyone, right? So you should be interesting, as well as you should surround yourself with people who are not boring in nature, right? So they should always have various different uh, facets to them, which will maybe give you edge as a team, as well as you get to learn a lot from them. So that's very interesting. And I've seen this particular piece in a lot of people who come from maybe tier 2 towns and middle class families. This fire in the belly to survive, to do something extra than their peer group, or to do something extra than the rest of the world, to help them take it forward, right? And I'm sure this has been helping you throughout your journey. Uh, Going from Durgapur, how did you transition to UAE and into Fab? Can we?
Yeah, sure. So I was very fortunate to have worked in the core industry. before I did my master's and MBA and moved on. The industry experience. See, when I passed out when I passed out of the engineering college, it was about there was a whole huge challenge around the industry. We were edging towards Y2K. There was issue about core industries. The manufacturing industry was struggling, and they were not high paying jobs. They were mediocre salaries compared to the software jobs and so on. But one thing on hindsight, when I look back, is I gained the best experience working in a foundry and a steel plant than anything I worked on ever in as part of my career. Imagine building a country's second only ductile iron spun pipe plant at that time. And I was also lucky because I had a boss who was so good, and he never accepted a no, and always challenged us to think different. So the whole engineering design, the mechanical design, I'm a metallurgical engineer. So getting into the crux of how a pipe forms and what are the brittle points and what are the stress tests and so on, it's fantastic. And at that time, right after passing out of engineering college, you sitting in and dealing with bankers who have given project financing, and you explaining to them on how the project is running around. It was massive experience. So one thing I always had the luck of, touch wood, was always having a working on something that always gave a wider perspective than doing a specific job. And that is the reason why I consider myself lucky that way, because I earned a lot much more experience than a typical person who used to work or who can work in. For example, if you work in a steel plant and in a particular section, you only know about that section, and after a particular period of time, you do mundane day-to-day same job. I was working on setting up of this plant from scratch, and second only. At that time, there was no ductile iron spun power plant. So it's fantastic experience and tremendous. And then after two years of that, I went into the business school, and post business school, the life started in a job which, as I say, again, were footsteps of how you can grow into. So I worked in a research company, doing consulting jobs. Then while I was in India, I got a call from an acquaintance who said, listen, one of my friend is setting up a company in Dubai. Do you want to come by and work as part of the starting team? I said, why not? So I moved to Dubai as a consultant. And that experience was fantastic because I had an opportunity to literally set up 2, 3 banks from scratch, including some of the finance companies who later got merged into banks. Then some of the areas. So, in short, all my experience have always been doing something new and doing it with a 360 degrees view and setting up something, from scratch to big. So I was lucky that way that I never fell into these boxes of jobs. And that gave me a wider experience. And then the rest is history. I think that always helps me to get a 360-degree understanding of any problem you want to get into.
That's very, very interesting, because this is exactly the same thing which Charlie Munger also speaks about, having a lattice work of mental models across different segments, across different, whether it is around biology or whether it is around finance or HR or metallurgy. So incidentally, I'm also a metallurgical engineer, so I can completely
There you go.
relate to when you say that, understanding not just the setting up of the pipelines or the pipes or the factory, but also understanding how the financing of it that works,
That's
and
right.
that makes you a generalist, and therefore the ability to perform at a much higher level with a 360-degree view. So that is, in fact, I think very insightful, and I'm sure a lot of listeners would also be encouraged with the fact that they don't necessarily need to be siloed in a particular vertical to grow in their life. They can work across verticals, because I've seen a lot of people talk about that, let me build my career in a particular vertical. But when they will hear this from you, that coming from a metallurgy background, then consulting and setting up few banks from scratch, and then becoming CEO of Magnati, that's a very, very encouraging trend for a generalist to take, right? So that's really good to know.
See, I have principle in life. Every 3 years, you have to do something different, something bigger,
Hmm.
something that's not what you've been doing 3 years ago. I'm very clear. So I keep doing my career books. I've been doing it from 2000, late 90s. And my career book always has this view that in every 3 years, I have to do something new, something refreshed, something bigger, something that adds value to you know to our professional lives. As I said, I'm a avid football fan, and I follow the lives of footballers, and it's a great story to learn. So if you talk to average any footballer, there's a span of 8-9 years for a
Correct,
football player, right?
correct, correct,
And that 8-9 years are going to shape up their other, let's say the lifespan is 100 years, 91 years of their life.
correct.
So in that 8-9 years, you have to be the best. Otherwise, you will end up working in League Twos and League Threes and League Fours, which are not going to help you in your growth. So it's we are not different. Of course, we our probability of success is relatively higher than a football player. But concept is same. You have to be different. You have to continuously do something different. You have to in footballing terms, either up your pace or up your skill, or increase your dribbling, or become better at defending. There has to be something you have to keep doing. And as part of the job, you may end up taking different roles and in different situations. And that way, I have amazing mentors, and kudos to them. And I've always been lucky with my bosses. Uh, every one of the people I worked with they've always trusted me. They've always given me independence to do and go the extra mile. And touch wood, I've always delivered to the or excelled to what their expectations were.
Nice, nice. That's good to know. So every 3 years, changing your benchmarks or doing something new, which will be bigger than what you did 3 years back. That's another
Absolutely.
nice mental model or a framework to live by. Great. Which football team do you follow, by the way?
I'm a diehard Liverpool fan.
What are you
Been
saying?
following it. Absolutely. I've been
I have
following
it
them
blurred
for.
out.
Yeah.
I have it
So
blurred out. That's
that's my that's my
nice,
Liverpool.
nice. Yeah. So this is like this turn off my. Yeah, that's you will
There
never
you
walk
go.
alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the same. I mean, Liverpool has been the team I've been following now for almost 18-20 years now.
I started following them after their 2001 victories, the treble they did with the cups. So
That's right.
I think I just went into my high school, 11th standard, and that's when I started following. And then I was in college when they won the Istanbul final.
That's
So
right.
last few years have been good for us. So, but,
Absolutely.
but the year,
It all shows about how one single manager can transform. And this
correct,
is where football is a great parallel you can live in life to understand a lot many management theories. I mean, as much as I have super admiration for Sir Alex Ferguson, the
absolutely.
way the way the management, the living by objectives. His book is awesome to read. I think it's all about how you lead by example, and how
Correct.
you drive that within your teams. That people just believe in you. People have to believe in you.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do it because they have to do it. They have to believe in you.
So one of the best learnings from his book, Leading specifically, was that, and I think this was sometime in mid 2000s during those treble years, right? Like when they had won 3 consecutive leagues. Uh, he was making sure that everyone in the team understood the inversion principle, that avoid failure, avoid the other team scoring a goal against you, and automatically the probability of success increases.
That's right.
And this was when Rio and Vidic were on a run of, I think, 15 clean sheets or something, right? 18 clean sheets
That's
or
right.
something. So both his books are really, really amazing to read. I think one of them has also been taught at Harvard Business School. So
That's right.
it's definitely sports psychology and sports management, but the learnings are
It's
across.
people management. It's
Yeah,
people
it is
management.
people management. Correct,
I mean, the
correct.
same people who were working, who were excelling under Sir Alex Ferguson cannot come out so well in other managers. Proves the point. Same with Jurgen Klopp, right? I mean, he's amazing. So I think back to our discussion, it's all about how much focused you are and how clear you are in terms of what you want to do.
Correct.
Things will fall in place when you know where you want to go.
Correct, correct, correct. All right. So moving on from our discussion around football, uh, transforming payments into possibilities. Now that's a really really awesome catchphrase. Like I got really it's stuck in my mind. Uh, can you explain what Magnati is doing and uh, building payments as a platform and transforming payments into possibilities? What are the what benchmarks? Let me put it that way. What new benchmarks are you trying to break or achieve with Magnati?
So payments have always been looked at as a very transactional, uh, part of the business, right? So you go in, you do supermarket shopping, you come out and you pay, and it's always been friction. It's full of friction. You spend as much time in supermarket, the same time you spend more, same time or more you spend paying in the queue, standing in the queue. So it was always looked at as transactional. So for us, payments into possibilities actually stands on four quadrants of possibilities. First quadrant is about possibility of new growth. There is so much in the payments data that we can mine, we can monetize, and we can translate into possibilities of new growth. And that is what payments is all about. Payment opens up whole realm of possibilities. The second possibility is possibility of innovation, where you come up with new ways of payment, new types of payment, and then continuously evolve into multiple ways. So why only account? Why only card? Why not a token which combines all of them, right? And the whole idea of virtual payment, the metaverse, the da 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 da. There's so many things happening. So that's the possibilities of innovation. The third one is the possibility of killing the money in the black box, the what I call possibility of commerce. There are many industries today where the merchants don't see these collections, not just merchant. I mean, if you look at government, some of the governments, as Ministry of Finance or Department of Finance, cannot visualize the total money within the country because of disparate systems and money stuck in the black box. Our view of possibilities is possibilities of opening up new commerce by closing in the money in the black box. So, and creating everything which is real time visibility, real time reporting, more depth into reporting, where people can see the money real time and not get stuck in the black box. The fourth possibility is the possibility of exceptional customer experience. Why should I stand in line? Why should I wait? Why can't a seamless, frictionless service be delivered so get I get exceptional customer experience or excel customer experience, and that drives me to come back to your business or to the merchant again and again. I think these are possibilities we talk about: possibilities of new space, possibilities of new commerce, possibilities of new growth, and that is the backbone of Magnati.
Okay.
And we don't talk to our customers, and there is never a conversation when we go and sit and they just discuss about pricing. We tell them, if you're looking at somebody who would reduce the cost for you, we are a wrong partner. But if you're looking at somebody who would reduce the cost to income for you, we are the right partners. So net, you grow, you reduce your cost. So we will help you in that possibility of growth, possibility of sing. Now let me come back into payment as a platform. Today, every integration with our merchant is a project, right? Not us, the market is a project where you have to go integrate a service A, then integrate service B, then integrate service C. Now, merchant is in, let's say if you're a supermarket, is in a business of selling supermarket goods or groceries. He doesn't care whether it's A pay or B pay or C pay or D pay. It's not his core business. So every time you go and say it's a new project, they need to call their vendors, their ERP vendors, ECR, the electronic cash register vendors, and all of that. And it's not cheap. when these vendors come in and they start charging you for every new integration. So we tell the merchants, you don't worry about all that. This is a single API. You connect it to your systems, and it's a one-time exercise. All the services A, B, C, D, E, F, G are all available in our platform. This is what I call the app store model. You connect to an app store and you find all multiple apps. Now, let's say the merchant chooses service A for the sake of discussion. And then service A provider and merchant get into contract, everything happens, but everything goes through our API, our platform. Let's say tomorrow the merchant doesn't like service A. In the context of what's happening in the what I call the traditional model, they need to cancel or whatever kill the investment they have done on IT. Now I'm just talking from IT perspective, and then call the new provider and integrate again. That's a new project. What we tell them is you don't worry about all that. With the same API, Magnati API, instead of routing to service A, we route to service B. Zero investment from your side. See, this is how we talk about possibilities of new business. So you as a merchant, you don't need to spend your IT project cost. We commit to like 40, 50%, 60% reduction in project cost. This is the mantra of how platforms evolve. And platforms are like supermarkets. You walk in through a single entrance and you find everything there.
That's very, very interesting. And I'm sure that there are other similar models across the world. I know a couple of them who have formed this layer for payments in Indonesia, also in India, which enables any merchant to kind of bypass and not go through multiple integration, but just uh, switch between providers and switch between. Uh, which other such platforms across the globe do you are you most impressed with, or do you look up to, or have? It could be a payments platform, it could be any other platform, right? For that matter, which you are
There are
very
many.
interested.
I mean, this is where I keep referring to. An App Store is a great example, right? I mean, Play Store is a great example. They have literally created a model where you cannot exist unless you're part of our platform.
Correct.
But then it's not just stick. They say, listen, there's realms of possibilities if you come onto our platform. You can do so much more, and you don't need to worry about selling it to your customers. We will do it for you. Because there are so many customers sitting on our platform, you don't need to even put a single dollar for your sales pitch. We'll do it for you. Just coming onto our platform, if somebody says mobile banking, by default, they'll get all the mobile banking apps available on the platform, which means they are doing selling for you. And what you get? You get open access to everyone who is part of that platform. This is the beauty of platforms.
Correct. 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 Correct.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, I can get that. So coming back to the last couple of years since the pandemic started, how has the pandemic impacted the platform which you're building, Magnati, or overall banking in general? Where do you see a key tectonic shift happening in the industry?
See, as payments industry, COVID helped us like 20-fold in terms of conversion from cash payments to digital payments. It's a fantastic. I think it's the only positive thing that came out of COVID. It's like people going into. But what it also opened up is the possibility of working with fintechs to turn around a product fairly quickly. Previously, we used to have a lot of paper which used to flow from node A to node B. But this is what proves the resilience of mankind, right? When something hits you, you become, you innovate yourself. As I say, necessity is mother of invention, and you innovate yourself to do that. I mean, there was a time where organizations did not allow Skypes and any other forms of video on the work devices. Today, you cannot survive without that. I think the whole world changed. Not many people really visualize how much massive digitization and impact we've had post-COVID. And those are things which really helped our industry. And we're very happy that way that we have been on the crux of innovation where we used that opportunity and we grew. And 46% growth in total process volume is not easy in a market which is so competitive.
Correct. So it's been some time you've been leading Magnati, and you've been a very visible and significant leader at Fab for a long time. Uh, you're one of those people who I also look up to as a leader. Uh, if someone wants to work with you in your team, maybe as your partner with Magnati, or maybe as part of your team, what advice would you have for them, separately for partners and someone who maybe wants to join your team?
Yeah. So in terms of team, it's very simple. There was a time when some people trusted me and gave me an opportunity to do something different, and all my bosses have done that. To go in and lead by example. So whoever has this mindset, and I keep referring to the book Go Getter. Whoever has the mindset of go getter, um, forget about working in my team. You can work anywhere, and you will be a star. It's all about making sure you're very clear and driving that passion and getting things done, whichever field, whichever business you are. And in terms of partners, guys, it's about creating value together by providing services to our customers that they love to work with us. It's all about the customers. If we working with partners can ensure that we provide one more additional value-added service for our clients, that helps us retain our clients. Why not? That's the story. And then everything has to have a commercial sense. So there are some of the fintechs who come to us and say, okay, our initial integration costs are $2 million. And I tell them, take a walk. If you don't come and co-invest with us, ensuring we create a value proposition that gives us tens of millions in future, then you are not the right focused fintech, right? Then you're just trying to be like a software company coming in and giving their license and charging the AMC fees and charging the T&M. That's not how partners work. Partners work together. And partners work with each other to create a proposition. I think that is the mantra of success.
Amazing. That's good to know. That's good to know. So let me, Ramna, interesting conversation. Let me bring this conversation to a close with a personal question for you. What is the kindest thing or act that someone has done for you?
Well, I mean, a lot of people have done a lot of kind things to me. So it's not fair on me to point out one or two, but I think everyone who thought, and there were many, who thought that I'm good enough to pick something and do it, have done kindest thing to me. And if I have to generalize that, every time you give an opportunity for someone not looking, oh, he hasn't done that last 30 years, oh, he doesn't have a background, oh, he doesn't have experience. No, if you have experience, you should rather use that experience to say, using my experience, how am I going to do something differently? Rather than saying, oh, I've done that for 20 years, it is like this. Because if you keep saying that, there is somebody there standing in line saying, that's not right, and I'm going to change it. And the day change happens, you are so immersed in what you've been doing in last 10 years, 20 years, or so long of your experience that you wouldn't be able to move. This is where every year I present to my teams. I start my town hall or meetings with my teams showing who moved my cheese. It is important to ask the question, who moved my cheese?
Thank you. Thank you. That is really very profound and insightful. Ramna, it has been an interesting conversation. Uh, Getting to know the real fire in the belly which has come up, has been inside you since the time you grew up, went to Durgapur, and then learning about your love for Liverpool Football Club and the like for the grit and hard work that they do to drill out wins week in, week out, plus the vision you have for Magnati. It's very insightful to know. And thank you so much for coming onto the
Thank
podcast.
you.
Uh,
Not a
really
problem. Happy to be here.
great to have you. Okay, thank you, Ramna.